Welcome. Today we're going to be meeting with Rona Avissar Lewis, the new director of the Israel Exploration Society, to hear about a little bit about your past, your experience, and kind of the new goals and new energy you hope to bring to this job. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your background in archaeology?
When I started learning archaeology, I wasn't sure even that I want to be an archaeologist. But I remember that after having the first excavation, that was it. And from then on, I'm in archaeology in everything I do. And I love excavating and I love researching about almost all information that I can have from archaeology. In my PhD, which I did at the Bar-Ilan University, I did about the children and childhood, the material culture of children and childhood, from the Middle Bronze Age to the Iron Age. And in that research, I realized that actually we're not talking about children in archaeology, and someone needs to start doing it. And so I wasn't the first one to do it, but I was the first one to do it in Israel, I would say. And I built a research model from which people now can take it and do it in every single excavation. That was my PhD. Then I moved to do a postdoc at with Harvard University at Ashkelon, which there I researched the Iron I houses. Which is Philistine houses, and then I published a book about it. The book is in Hebrew, but working on the English version of it. And then I became a lecturer, and I love teaching students and giving them the information and letting them experience what we learned from archaeology. And I'm doing it at the Hebrew University at Rockburg International School, and I did it until last year at the David Yelin Academic College, and also at the Ono Academic College I'm teaching. So that was my life, lecturing, and then I also excavated. I have an excavation at the Mount of Fatim. Over there we were excavating a small site called Kankuza, Chovat el-Kankuza, which is an early Iron Age site of a open cultic site, which is fascinating. And we now have a break because I have this new work and I need to put everything I can in it, but I'm sure I will be back in the field. So that's kind of how I was involved in archaeology in the last 10 years, I would say.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about being in the field?
Excavating, finding things, you're revealing what others did. And it's a tricky question because everyone asking you, so you find gold, you find that? No, I love, the best thing is to excavate a wall. That's the best thing you're revealing. And if that wall has a floor with it, it's just amazing. First of all, it's the hard work, the field work. You work, you feel the body, you do things, and then you're revealing what's, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. This is just amazing. And then to research it, this is just unbelievable that you really can understand the people, the families, everyone that were in the site. The best. Okay,
so now in addition to all of your incredible field work that you're doing, you're also now the new director of the Israel Exploration Society. So tell me a bit about the society, what its background is, and kind of what its mission is.
So the Israel Exploration Society was established more than 100 years ago. And the society was established even before the State of Israel was created, and before, that was the beginning of the Zionism, not the beginning of the Zionism, it was part of the Zionism program, and the society was established in order to keep the sites, the archaeology of Israel, and to research it. It was the first time that actually the Jewish people that lived in Israel started to research the land of Israel. And it was after, you know, the British and the Americans and the Germans and the Russians, they all came to Israel to find the land of the Bible. But there were no Jews as a group doing it. And then society was established in order to do it. Part of like the PF, the Palestine Exploration Fund, so they had the Jewish Palestine Exploration Society. That was the first name. Now in Hebrew it's a bit different because they changed it a few times, but that's the name in English. There was the name in English because there was no, Israel was not a state yet. So it was Palestine, that was a state. And they started, you know, even before the First World War. And then they had to stop for a few years because of the war. And then in 1920, they re-established the society. And from then on, this is, I mean, all the archaeologists in Israel were part of the society. Well, today it's a bit different, but that was the beginning. Now, the few things, they had a lot of ideas, but the main things were first to help the archaeology of Israel and the archaeologists in Israel, and also to give the people the knowledge. So it wasn't only for research ideas. It is a researcher focused, but it was also for the people. And those two were always it was a bit of a problem. How can you give a lecture that is research-based for the public? Okay? So this is how the Israel Exploration Society, not how it is, this is what they did for many years. Now in the 1960s, 1970s, it was a few thousands of people that was part of the society. And it was really the main place for archaeology for the public and for the researchers. But as you know, in all the world, I guess, it's not only in Israel, but people are going back from, for having tours together and from doing things, and they want to have it in their houses, and they want to have it in Zoom, and they would want to go in their car, not as a group. So things have become changed, and we have to do it as well. We have to change the ideas of how to do the things, but the goals of the society are the same goals: to help the archaeological research on the one side, and to give the public the ideas and the knowledge. So these are the things that we're working on for the last 100 and almost 20 years.
Great. So that actually brings us really well into our next question of what sort of things is the society doing now, projects or whatnot, to carry on that mission?
So I just started being the director, but I'm also continuing what my previous director did, Hillel Geva. And what we're now trying to do is to change the way in which we bring the public the archaeology. It takes time, because we're old, because we like archaeology. We are archaeologists and we live in the past. Sometimes we have to do the jump to say, okay, we have to do it now in a different way. Yeah. So it's a progress. It takes us time, but we're working on it, and we have a lot of ideas of how to do it. I'm not going to tell you all my ideas, but I would say that yes, we have a package of things that I want to do, and we started doing it, but it's not not yet to talk about it, I would say publicly. But I'm sure that, yes, the society as I see it, because it's almost 120 years, it cannot be just disappeared. We need to work hard, but to bring the people of today the knowledge in different ways, like Das did, So it's the same. We need to change all the ways, but we're doing it. Oh,
and I know some of what your society does is with publishing. where you have this wonderful magazine and you do a series of incredible archaeological books. Do you want to talk for a little bit about the stuff that you and your group are putting out print material-wise?
Yes, so as you see, we have some books, and this is only 200 of the 500 books that the IAS had published. Some of them are researchers only, okay? I would say these are scientific things, and some are for the public, okay? So we're working on it. I would say that next year we're going to have new books. One will be the Jewish Quarter, which is a scientific book, but on the other hand, we're going to have the Ancient Synagogue Revealed, the new edition of the Ancient Synagogue Revealed, which I'm sure would be of help for many people to learn about the synagogues, the ancient ones. And we're working on a book on the Temple Mount, which we have in Hebrew. Now we're working on the English edition, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. With Professor Danny Bahat, and so we have more books, which I'm not going to talk about all of them, but these are, yes, we're working on it. We have also our journals. Okay, so we have Eretz Israel, which is a journal that started. You know, you can see it from here, right? All of them. Every few years there is it's a book actually, but it's part of the journal way of publishing it. And the next one will be it will be published in like 2 months. It's both Hebrew and English.
Okay.
Now we have to see that in Hebrew there are not a lot of journals of archaeology, and actually we're stepping on our back. That yes, those journals will stay both in Hebrew and in English, but also the Hebrew is very important for us. And this is for academical purposes, and we have another academical journal, the IJ, which is also for many years is being around and still working, and still a lot of new material, of course, is coming through there. It's amazing, and it's in English, the IAJ, the Israel Expression Journal. And we have the Hebrew journal that we're working with, which is for the public, which is Kadmoniot. So it's very important, but very hard, I would say, to take the academical material and to move it into the public, for the public. But this is amazing because those people are living here and they need to know what's around them, right? They cannot just, be in they will have to read things in English or German or French. No, they have to read it also in Hebrew. So we're working on it also. These are the things that for the publication part, but this is only, as I said earlier, this is part of what we're doing in the IAS.
Okay, wonderful. And I just want to say for those who are watching, I know I've looked at a number of your books, and some of them, like the Ancient Synagogue Revealed, they have incredible photos. So if any of you who are watching are interested in looking at kind of what some of these ancient synagogues actually looked like, I would highly recommend, especially that series. It is incredible. But moving on, you're obviously, as you said, you are new, so there's still some things that are kind of in the works and you can't really talk about quite yet. But is there any aspects of your job, any aspects of what the IES is doing that you yourself are especially passionate about?
Yes, I would say yes. There are a few things. I want to bring back the conferences, but not, we're Israelis, we used to go abroad for the international conferences, and we will do a conference in Israel. I'm not sure exactly when would it be, but yes, I'm working on an international conference that would be in Israel, and we'll bring over those experts that are part of the research here, because we have to remember that the research is not only Israelis, not at all. It's all over the world. People are excavating here and researching those finds that we have here. So it needs to be. And then we can go and see those sites, not only talk about them and see them in Photoshop photos, no, see them. So that's one thing. And I also want to work on helping early career researchers in Israel and helping them with the excavations. Now, this is something which I'm working on, so I cannot say when and what, but this is something which is really important. And so those new researchers will have like a startup to start all those ideas and then excavations. And this is what I think, this is what the IAS means. Both public and the academia. This is the combination. And bringing all the information for everyone. And this is by the publication. So this is how I see those things. And I have also crazy ideas, often archives, and building, you know, and a lot of other things which I think needs to be more baked before I'm talking about them. But I have many ideas, and if anyone else has an idea, they're welcome to tell me about it. Yes, we need to put the IAS in the 20th century. No, 21st century. Yes. We need to put the IAS in the 21st century.
Wonderful. Well, moving on a little bit, I just had a slightly different question. As an organization who is trying to promote scholarship in Hebrew to reach kind of the audience here in Israel, I know a lot of even Israeli scholars typically write in English, and they do a lot of their publication in English. Is there any difficulties or challenges that you've come across, either in your own publication or working with other scholars, of trying to get that material in Hebrew?
Well, that's a big problem, I would say. Because at the end of the day, I would say 10 million people read Hebrew. And of course, people can translate articles from Hebrew to other languages. But this is hard. And then we prefer, at the academy, we prefer having it in English or in any other language which more people can read.
Yeah.
And it's and each researcher wants his ideas and his material to be published for the audience, which can be from all over the world. So publishing in Hebrew is tricky. It's a tricky problem. It's a problem, I would say. It's not tricky. It's a problem because not a lot of people can read it. However, because the IAS is part of the Zionist organization, and this is what established the state of Israel, Hebrew is part and a crucial part in our way of thinking, I would say. Yes, we have less publications in Hebrew because people prefer doing it in English, but it's crucial for us as the IAS, as the part of this 120 years society. It's very crucial for us to do it also in Hebrew. So what we were saying, you know, so do it twice, do it in Hebrew and do it in English. But then it's not fair because as academics you cannot have the same article in both languages. So yes, it's a problem. But I think, and I'm sure, that researcher has many ideas and they can write both. So that was what's my beliefs. I would say that also my book was published in Hebrew, Yaldei Kedem, and I have to rework on it for the English version. It takes time, and of course there's a lot of other research that I did from back then. So it takes a lot of time. But yes, we as Israelis need to do it both in Hebrew and in other languages. What can we do?
Yeah.
So it's easier for you.
Yeah, indeed. And then kind of the last question that I had, what is so important about taking this scholastic field of archaeology and presenting it to the general public?
The past is part of every single person in the world, doesn't matter where he lives right now. By knowing the past, you can understand what you're doing now and how you live now, and you can ask yourself other questions of why you do this or that. That's one thing that the public needs to know. But listen, we are excavating those sites. We who are excavating those sites realize that we're not the first one to do those things, and we're not the first one to invent a lot of other things. And every single day you can hear about it in the newspaper that there are so many things that you learn that, wow, 2,000 years ago they did it already, 4,000 years they did it already. So that's one thing which is important and interesting, I would say. This is just knowledge that you can have from it. But there's another thing, and I think that this is something about our way of thinking and the way from religious perspectives and traditions. And you have to understand that what you're doing now is part of things that people change all those times. And things were not what we believe today, are not what they knew or believed 2,000 or 3,000, more my periods, yes, 3,000 years ago. And it's very interesting to know it and not to judge people for what they believe or, you know, and what they do, because it has a base somewhere back then, and they can learn from it. So that's one thing. And then curiosity. Listen, this is amazing. You know things which you would not believe that you will find. And finding, you know, the toy that a child played with 4,000 years ago is just incredible. And understanding that from that toy, his parents educated him. Amazing. And now you can understand how you educated you're educating your children, or maybe others, how do they do those things. This is just incredible. And so that knowledge should not stay only with the researchers. This is something that the public needs to know, and they will do whatever they want to do with it. But knowledge is power. And therefore, the people need, or this is what I believe, that needs to become for everyone, to read, for everyone to know, to see. That's what we need. And therefore, this is why we're doing that. This is why the society was established to begin with.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us. Once again, this is Rona Avissar Lewis, the new director of the Israel Exploration Society. I know I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure speaking for everyone at the Goodwill Archaeology Society, we're very excited to work with you more, to see what your group is going to be doing in the future. And we're just excited to keep on learning. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Nathan. It was very important for me to talk about it. Thank you very much.